Good evening and welcome to Arts and Craft Chatter Girl. My name's Carla Bagshaw. I am Chatter Girl for many reasons. And I've got the lovely Sharon Curtis with me tonight,
Hello.
who is my guest, along with Tasmin Flood, who is also my guest and a producer at the moment for Carnation Crafts and has been a producer for many years for Create and Craft previous to that. So we'll be having a good chat and a chitter chatter tonight. I've got my apple juice and we'll be going from there. What I will say is, just on a housekeeping note, that Chatter Girl is about just having a discussion really about what's going on in the craft industry. It's not about disparaging anybody, disparaging any other companies. We don't have negative comments in that way. Please do join in the chat. Come and chat with us. Anything you've got to say about craft in general, what you're excited about, what's coming up, any products that you know, those sort of things. We can discuss all of that. Just no negative comments, please, about any of the channels, any of the products, or any of the people. And certainly we can't help you with custom services. Actually, Sharon can. I can't. She can't either. No. We can't help you with customer services.
Useless to you in that department.
Absolutely. But we would really like you to chat with us. That's the whole point, is that it's all of us chatting together. And also, if any of you guys have got stuff coming up, such as workshops, or if you've got any kind of craft fairs, anything like that, please do put it in the comments. I will try and get them on the screen so that we can advertise you as well as advertising, whatever's going on here. The whole point of Chatter Girl is just to discuss craft openly and have a really nice discussion about what's going on. So I've wanted to get Sharon on for ages because she's just one of the loveliest humans ever, and I think the world of her, but also because I think she brings something to crafting that's really important. She's been in the industry for a long time, a long time. Even though she's only 20, she has done her service in the industry, and it's people like Sharon that we learn the most from in crafting. Certainly somebody like me who hasn't been doing it as long. It's lovely to have people like Sharon who we consider as mentors, because it gives you that extra boost within the industry. So I'm really honoured that you're here. She's in my craft room.
Yes.
Sharon Curtis is in my craft room.
There's lots of nice stuff in here.
There's nice stuff and pizza, which we've eaten. So, Sharon, I'm going to talk to you first about, so you're on CNC today?
Yes, I was. Yeah.
And you've got one tomorrow.
I've got one more show tomorrow. It's Eileen Hull.
Fancy.
Chapter 4, Eileen Hull. Eileen, as you know, is kind of well known for construction type dies. And in this release, she's got this fantastic box that creates, it can either be a box or a vase.
We like
that.
We like that.
Yep, pen pots. You could use it. I've done one for makeup brushes.
Is it paper construction?
Mat board. So it's very sturdy. Really, really useful. So that's one of the dies, and it's a big die. So you can cut from mat board, leather. So you can be covering your mat board with leather or fabric or anything.
Oh, that's really nice.
So yeah, and if you're like, I was going to say like you, but you're probably a messy crafter, aren't you?
I'm actually an organised crafter. Don't
actually, this is very organised in here. Actually.
I am an organised
crafter.
You are.
This is tidy. I'm impressed.
Things can get messy on my desk, but pretty much everything else. And weirdly, I can't start another project until I've cleared the other one completely away.
Yeah, I'm a bit like that. Yeah,
it has to be immaculate before I start again.
Well, these pots, I was thinking, if you are a tidy crafter, they'd be great for your markers and things like that, because you could also colour code them.
Are they all a set size, or can you?
You can play around with it. It is a set size, but Eileen on her Facebook group, which is called the Eileen Hull Fan Club, by the way, you should check that out as well.
We'll put a link in the comments.
She came up with a great idea of kind of putting 2 or 3 together to create this great big box. Really clever.
Oh,
so
nice.
Yeah, I think with Eileen's dies, it's always a starting point.
I assume if you made 4 of them anyway, you could start building it up as being
it's
like
kind
a desk organizer.
Yeah, and it's a geometric shape, so you can kind of attach them to each other. You could make a lovely.
So, if you were to stack them across and upright, would it look like a honeycomb?
Yeah, kind of would actually. Yeah, the box. Yeah,
it would look like a honeycomb, wouldn't it?
But yes, it's a cool design, and that's just one die in the set. There's also a fabulous sunflower Again, it's a big die, so you can cut from felt, fabric, anything you want. But it's a nice 3G sunflower. I've put some in a vase. You could use the Geo box as a...
I have never cut fabric with a die.
Really? Well, you do need, like, the Sizzix Bigs.
I can barely put paper with a die on air. They don't let me do it live because I did it today. Today, for the first time, did a cutting demonstration for Carnation Crafts for the first time ever.
Wow. Yes, you don't usually do that.
Ever.
Did you put the paper in this time?
I put the paper in and I did not break the machine. Hello, Sue. Are you okay? Hey, Kellyanne. I did do a cutting demo. It was very exciting because I don't normally. I refuse to.
That's kind of...
Because I break the machines on air. I've got a machine and I've had it for years and I've never broken mine and I use it daily. But every time I do it on air, I break it. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just, it's not
jinxed.
Yeah, so there you go. So 9 o'clock tomorrow morning.
9 o'clock tomorrow morning. Last show. So this is your last chance because it's a really good deal. Also on the show, this is something new from Sizzix. We have a mystery box.
I love those.
Yeah.
I used to
Can you
love doing
remember
those. Not Sizzix,
But generally,
there's always good quality and good value.
Yeah. Well, I know what's in it, and I know it's definitely worth. I think it's
But
about
I can't ask
£25. No, and I can't tell you. And actually, the first show was great because I had completely forgotten there was one on the show or what was in it, even though Sizzix had emailed me the list.
but it's
So
worth the
Adam
value.
and I were able to say, well, there's something. It'll be fabulous. We don't know what.
You've got a clue.
After the first show, I did go and have a look at my emails and reminded myself. And then I was like, oh, yeah. Oh, that really is a
But
lot for the money.
Yeah, it's good value for money. We
It
like
is.
that sort of thing.
I know it was flying and it was close to selling out. So you might want to look on the website, actually, just in case it's not there in the morning.
So that'll be the Create and Craft website, which is
Yes.
www.createandcraft.com. And if you go there, you'll be able to find those. And also, you can go through and find the bargains if you go onto the Create and Craft website as well, which means we can trawl through. The same goes for Hobby Maker. Go and find your, super cheap items and look at, for me, I tend to go and try and look once a week just to see what's going on as a bargain as to what I can get. Because a lot of the stuff that you get, you might not be crafting with just at the moment, but you might get to a point where you want to. And if it's super cheap on any of the websites, then that's kind of the time to get it because you can see later.
Yeah, particularly if it's basic stuff like envelopes, cardstock. I always stock up on those if I see a
Or
See a good
glue
deal.
pens. I know CNC today have got their deal of the day on CNC today is the Quickies glue pens. And there's 4 of them. I can't remember how much it is for 4 of them.
I want to look at that because I use those a lot.
They're really good for quilling.
Of course they are.
Because
Yeah,
when you're doing the
they're
outline,
so
because you draw it,
delicate.
it's a pen basically. It looks like a pen, it writes like a pen, but it's got glue that comes out, and it's really strong glue. So when you're quilling, you can place it around whatever you've drawn. So it's really useful.
And the glue comes out blue. So you
It does
can
smell
see
a
it.
little bit of fish.
Yeah, it's not got a nice smell. I assume that's maybe something to do with how they colour it or something. I don't
It'll
know.
be the production of it, won't it? It
Yeah.
doesn't smell
It doesn't
great, but
smell
listen,
great.
a lot of glues don't. Can you remember the old Copydex? That used to smell a little bit. You used to have a brush when you opened it.
Yeah.
It's got that same sort of smell to it, but it's good glue.
But it's almost like a sort of rollerball type nib. So for really delicate stuff, I use it when I'm putting glitter on things mainly.
Yeah.
If I colour an image and I want to give it a bit of sparkle.
Well, what I didn't know is you can heat emboss it.
Yes, you can. Yes.
I didn't know that until today. You can heat emboss it, which is brilliant, isn't it? Because that sort of brings all your designs to life. So that's a really nice thing.
Yeah, you can use it with your embossing powders. Yeah.
Now, Miss Sharon has got something very exciting going on, which is partly why I dragged her here today. She has got something really, really exciting. We're going to put all of the links in the comments. Take it away.
This
Curtis.
Saturday at 5 o'clock, I'm doing an online class.
I want to do it.
Well, you're on the group. You can join
I
in.
won't be here.
But yes, so many people ask me. I do quite often local classes to me in Bromsgrove, and every time I advertise my local class, I get so many people saying, "Oh, I wish I lived near, or I'd like to come to one of your classes. Can't you do an online one?" And actually, it was Carla that gave me the kick up the bum to do it because I've been saying, "Yeah, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it." And I saw you. It was only a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
And she said, "You need to go home now."
I'm very bossy when
She's
the
very bossy.
moment takes me. But
And I did.
It's so easy to become complacent and just be like, I'll do it. And actually, Chattergirl being a prime example of that. So there were, I think 3 weeks where for very specific reasons I couldn't do it. And then time just goes past and there's always a reason. And so when I saw Sharon this morning and she said, I've got a show tomorrow morning, I was like, are you staying over? And she said, yeah. And I said, let's just jump on and do Chatty Girl. Miss Taz is here for me, not essentially as my carer, but partly,
Mostly.
mostly is Taz's role is she just kind of shuffles me about and makes sure that I stay clean. And so she was here and I said to her, would you join me and Sharon? Because Taz also has a wealth of information about the industry as well. Both of them have got way more experience than I have. And so we're sitting in the presence of greatness, which is really nice. And it's a lovely thing to be. You can see they believe that as well.
Yeah.
I'm kind of looking at Sharon going, yeah.
It's a different role, isn't it? And I suppose this is the thing, isn't it? So, you'll see Sharon on the television all the time. Those faces we know. And then Taz is somebody who is always behind the cameras, but her job is just as vital and, well, more vital because without Taz, there is nothing. There is no camera, there is, and so it's that sort of element to it. So we are going to discuss with Taz what the role of producer is so that you guys at home have a different side of the coin, really. So it's not just this that you're seeing, but also this.
Yes,
it's probably not the most personable way to this or this.
It's or this.
It or it. But no, so you can have a look at both sides of it. So Sharon, your class.
Yes. So after Carla gave me a nudge, I did go straight home and I've come up with a project for the class that's generic enough that you haven't got to go out and buy stuff.
It's so pretty.
If you pop to my Facebook page, you'll see the links and message me after this and I'll send you all the details to join up. If you're free at 5 o'clock on Saturday, you can join live. It's going to be in a private Facebook group. So I will just add you to that group and you can join. But if you aren't free, you can just watch it later. Once you're in the group, then.
If you join that group and then you do another class, will you keep it to that group so it will grow as a community, or will you do separate groups for each one?
I'll probably keep it in there
as a community.
Yeah,
I think it's a really nice idea. I think at the minute, especially, community is really important for craft, and I think craft is really important for communities. Yeah. So I think having that idea of bringing people together in a place where they feel safe, which is what I wanted Chatty Girl to be, where we can just talk, because we're missing it, I think. And to be able to do that with a project where you're all having that shared experience is a really nice way of doing things. So I like that. Yeah, absolutely. And I've managed to cram in quite a few techniques. It's only one card, but there's a lot going on there. Lots of techniques. There's a bit of crackle paste going on, a bit of heat embossing. We're going to be colouring. Yeah, I love crackle paste. She's a crafter as well. I don't know why she's sitting here like she doesn't know anything. She does. So yeah, it's a fun project. And it's kind of in response to all the people that every time I say I'm doing a local class, say, oh, I wish I lived nearer. So join the internet, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because it's taken it to a level that we can all achieve. We can all get to, everyone can switch the internet on, so we all get to join it. Yeah. So I think it's really, when I was talking to Sharon and she was saying, I've been sort of mulling it over, and I was like, so then why are we still waiting? Like, what is it that's stopping you from doing it? And she was like, nothing. So let's do it then. Let's get it going. And she literally, because that's the thing. If you don't do it straight away, no. And the problem with our jobs is you've always got prep to do for shows, and of course that's your priority. And you do tend to put all your other ideas on the back burner. I do it with my YouTube channel. It's kind of the thing that I do once I've done my TV. If I've got a free day, whereas actually I should be scheduling it into my week. Yeah. And also, I think as demonstrators as well, we don't have set days and times. No. So you can never build your life around it. It's not like you can say, well, in 2 weeks, I'll be here, because you never know. It changes so rapidly. It's as rapidly changing as craft itself. So we don't get a lot of time to just say, right, on this day I'll be doing that, which is why originally Chatty Girl was set for 9 p.m, because it was when, all the channels have all finished at that point. There is no shows at that point. Tonight's is obviously just a sort of a jump on quick impromptu. But I like the idea of that as well. I like the idea of impromptu ones. I think there's some fun in it. And for those of you that can join us, is really, really lovely. I can see that there's people watching. I would love it if you were to say hello. That would be aces. So please do just, even if you're very shy, I won't put your comment on the screen if you don't want me to, but it's really nice to hear from you guys as well. And to, like, I'd like to know from you guys at home what it is about, say, for instance, crafting TV that first drew you in. What did you enjoy? Was it the presenters? Was it the products? Was it the demonstrating? What is it that keeps you, involved in craft TV? Because I know for a lot of people it is the demonstrations, because you want inspiration for what you're doing at home. For others, it's just an easy way to shop for the thing that you love to shop for. There's loads of different reasons. So if any of you are feeling brave,
yes, tell us that. I actually learned how to heat and emboss from watching craft TV. I started crafting in 2002. I'd always done drawing, painting at home, and my sister was getting married, and she said, I've seen these really nice invites and they're really expensive, and I'm sure you could make them.
Yeah.
Never done any card making at that point.
That's how it started.
Went to a craft shop, and it was the most elaborate thing. The invites were fairly simple. It was a gold heart, and back in the day it was all mulberry paper. It was like a torn square of mulberry paper with a gold heart. But then she wanted table plans, and she wanted it all to go with the gold. So I bought all these gold sheets and dry embossed.
Are you kidding?
My first attempt at crafting, yeah. So a table plan for 100 people, place cards for each table that had like a square metal, and then I got some stencils and dry embossed with a ball tool on all of them. Yeah, so it was a massive thing. So of course, after that, I bought all this mulberry paper, I bought all this cream card, and I thought, oh, well, I could just do some card making. And that's how it started. And then that was about the time when Create and Craft started, actually, 2003, I think. So I was watching Create and Craft when it first started.
Wow.
And I bought a kit, and it was a heat gun and some, I think they were called moon something embossing powders that were like interference type.
Right.
I've still got that heat gun and it still works. So that's like 20 years old.
That is brilliant.
Yeah. Yeah.
I had never seen any craft channel when I applied.
Really?
Didn't even know what Create and Craft was. No idea. Never seen it.
That's kind of quite a good way, because I have to say, when I first arrived at Create and Craft to do like my screen test or whatever, it was surreal, because of course I've been watching everyone, I knew all the presenters, and it was just a really weird feeling to like be talking to Nigel and think, I've watched
that's
it,
so
and even the sets, you kind of think, oh, this is this
like
is
I recognise it. No, I'd never seen it, didn't know it existed. Hi Simon, are you all right? I had no idea it existed, and then I was doing quilling, and I'd started a YouTube channel teaching quilling and teaching paper cutting, and Create and Craft did a drive for new demonstrators and for sort of their own DT team kind of thing. And somebody said to me, I've seen this on Facebook, you could do this. And I was like, well, never say never, and I may as well have a go. And I did. And
wow.
And now you're all stuck with me. But I'd never, ever watched it. I'm making my guy watch too, only because I've cast you to the big TV in the bedroom. Well, Sharon Chambers, Guy, we are very sorry you're stuck with us. But a very lovely evening, and I hope you've got a beer as well. So yeah, it's one of those things where you think, well, you're never going to be picked, so you may as well just shove the email in, and then suddenly that ball starts rolling, and you're like,
what have I agreed to?
No. And then so I had a screen test with Nigel, and then I went on and did another sort of screen test with a load of people. We all went together, and then the next thing was they said to me, you've got a 2-hour show.
Wow, straight in with a 2-hour
show. I was like, and that was before the 42 minutes when it was a full hour, and it was
2 full hours.
2 full hours doing quilling.
That's a lot for your first show.
Yeah.
Wow.
And there you go. And here I am now. And obviously I do carnation, and we are predominantly now, which has been just an absolute blessing. So I'm just going to whiz over to Miss Taz. So Miss Taz is one of my absolute best friends. Hey, Carly Duff, how you doing? Lovely face. Miss Taz is one of my absolute best friends. She is somebody who works with me. So she is the producer for Carnation Crafts TV studios, which has obviously grown and grown and grown. And you'll see me talking to her all the time. You'll see her groaning back.
Yes.
Not a face, just a
And
voice.
So we wanted to bring you Miss Taz's face to the screen, more than anything, because what I wanted to do with Chattergirl is kind of look at the industry for everybody. So instead of it just being sell, 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 buy this, I wanted it to be what else happens, because when I joined CNC, that was one of the most fascinating things to me, because I didn't know what a producer was, and I didn't know what a director was, and I certainly didn't know what the difference between the two was. And actually, it took me a long time to work that out, because nobody sort of says this is what they do. And this,
no one explains
no,
it.
it's just
you
they
kind of have to pick it up as you go along as who's doing what. Yeah.
And they're busy, they've got a massive job to do. So Taz, how long did you work for CNC for?
About 5.5 years.
So a long time. And you've been at Carnation for
about 7 months.
7 months, yeah.
March.
Sort of around the merger time, wasn't it? Since March. And hey, Pauline, hello. So it's been a lovely ride for us as far as Carnation's concerned, because we were really good friends before that happened as well. So that just fell in really nicely. And we became friends, obviously, at Create and Craft.
Well, see, that's the thing, is that I made a lot of my very good friends through CNC. And
still today, though, you're really good friends, which is nice.
And it's quite nice to still be in touch with people and see people commenting, because there's so many people I haven't seen for ages. Like I haven't seen Sharon until today.
For ages, exactly.
But when you kind of catch up, it's like
no time's passed.
Yeah, it's not like I haven't seen you
for like 7 months.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Well, it's a very specific industry, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Everyone knows everybody. Everybody's worked with everybody. It's a really specific industry, and it's a lovely industry to be in. It's very fast moving as well. So often you might have a show 1 week, and then you might not have a show for another 2 weeks, and then you might have 5 shows the week after. You never really know what's going to be going on. Hey Rachel, are you all right? So you never ever really know what's happening one day to the next. The one thing that you do have when you go in as a demonstrator is that you always know your producers are going to be running the show.
Yeah.
And so they're our safety net, really, the producers. Taz, can you tell me the difference between a producer and a director?
Okay, so a producer is someone who is formatting a show. So they're the ones who are effectively saying, I want to do this during the show, this during the show, and this during the show. And the director is the person that puts it to air. So they call the shots, like literally
camera shots,
and the producer calls the shots figuratively. So, for example, on a daily basis, you kind of open up with a presenter, you kind of go through the boards with the demonstrator, go back to the presenter. If there's certain products you want to look at that you guys are finding popular, we look at those, and then we go back for a demonstration. Now, as someone behind the scenes, I'm the one that's saying to the presenter and guest, if the guest has the talk back as well, this is what we're doing. So I'm the guide to help the show flow, essentially, so everyone's on the same page.
She just yells in your ear.
It depends who it is. I wouldn't do it to Sharon.
She just yells, Bagshaw, will you move? And I'm like, what? What are we doing?
Don't know where you are. How'd I get here?
What we're doing?
Tell us off when we stack all our things up right in front of us so the camera can't see what we're doing. And things like that.
That lovely moment that you'll have all seen on Craft TV, and every single demonstrator does it, much to the annoyance of the producers, but we do it accidentally. We're only human. Is when you finish your demo and you go to hold it up, and then the camera is trying to find your demo, but it's there for so long. You just sort of put the demo down, and then suddenly the camera finds where the demo should have been.
Where you started off, because it seems like a long time when you're there with your...
And then suddenly you're just like...
And you think, oh, okay, they're not coming to me. You put it down the camera.
And there's an awkward moment. You will have seen it many, many times. And I think the thing to remember is that demonstrators are not trained in television at all.
We're not.
I think I had a 3-minute screen test, and then I was on air for 2 hours. You're not trained. You don't know anything about the TV side of things. You just go in and you do the job. And, it can be daunting a bit.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's
and that's where we absolutely rely on the producers to guide us and
I mean, if you'll listen.
shout at us.
She's looking at me. The directors will be the ones that say, Carla, your vision is camera 3, Carla, your vision is camera 4. So you always know which camera you're looking into. What you guys don't see is that certainly at Career and Craft, you've usually got about 6 cameras, and then you'll have a monitor underneath that. Certain cameras are devoted to the presenter, certain cameras are devoted to the demonstrator, and certain cameras are devoted to products. So when you see the product being shown and card samples and all, there are dedicated cameras for that. And then, you know, the demonstrator will have theirs, the presenter will have theirs. And that's the director's job. They will tell you constantly, you're on camera 5, you're on camera 6. And then she'll say,
This is what we're doing next.
This is what we're doing. So, and the presenter leads that. So the demonstrator just follows all of these people when they're behaving themselves.
Yeah.
I try, and then my ADHD gets in the way, and then I do my own thing, which doesn't go down well.
And I avoid having talkback altogether. So
Do you?
I mean,
the
that's-
producer can't tell me what to do.
Do you not have talkback at all?
No.
I always preferred when my guest had talk back,
Really?
but that's
She trained me on
because
talkback.
but that's because it's a lot easier for me to speak to a guest when
Than
obviously when
through
the
the-
camera's not
the
on,
presenter,
then
yeah.
through a floor manager to go in, ask you,
Yeah.
respond back to me. So if I just said like, "Oh, Carla, have you got any more demonstrations?" Because obviously we need to. It's live. We have to format a show in a certain way. If we're out of demonstrations, there's other things we want to show them. We can't just cut the show short.
Yes.
So it's nice to just say in someone's ear, "You got any more demos, Carla?" And she can either go or something else.
Yeah.
And so that was just a lot easier for me to.
So often, if you
Format.
see the boards at the beginning of a show and at the very end, it's often because either there's not enough time to fit another demonstration in, or because the demonstrator may have run out of demos, which doesn't happen often, but it
No.
can. And so often then you'll show the boards again. And often it's a lovely reminder of what's been just on. So it's a useful tool. Boards are tools, you know, that's something that we use in order to help us be able to say, this is exactly what you're getting. Because as crafters, you need to know that. What are you paying for?
Because quite often if there's a lot in a set, you're only going to use not even half of it in a demo. So you really want to make sure that you at home know what you're getting for your money.
And it's hard as demonstrators to be able to do that across
Yeah.
your demos as well. So if you're making 20 demos, you need to know that every single aspect of the collection has been put into those demos at some point on repeat. So it's funny, all the technical stuff that you learn, you don't know when you come into the industry, but you soon learn it. You have to.
Yeah.
And that's been a really... Well, I'm still learning an awful lot. I've still got a long way to go. I'm still considered new in the industry. I've been in it 5 years, and I'm still considered as new. I've been crafting. No, Dan Bancroft, it is not. Bad human. We also, as demonstrators, have to put up with Dan Bancroft.
I got rid of that about 7 months ago.
Taz got rid of that. I can't get my mouse to hover over him to look. He's so rude. Pint of wine. It's a pint of
It's
vodka.
apple juice, isn't it?
It's beer. I'm on the beer. I can't show you which one because they both said that it was inappropriate. So it's hidden in cans under my desk. So it's one of those things. And then Dan's here. Presenters then have a completely different focus. And obviously the presenters are on so often and they're so natural at doing what they do that we kind of don't realise that there is a skill involved in that in a huge way as well. They are incredibly clever at what they do. And it's been really interesting to work with the guys that, her Chandler, that is now obviously Career and Craft, and see how that's worked across the board. But it's just a really nice relationship and it works, but you've got to rely. So the demonstrator relies on the presenter and the presenter relies on the producer. And that's kind of how it goes. And we all rely on the director to get all the camera shots right. So that's kind of the hierarchy of how it works when you're live, I guess, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I can't really add to that. You've just said it perfectly. You become very good friends very quickly with people.
Especially because most of the time they're usually somebody has got, you're saying to people, can you just go up my skirt and get my microphone out? Because
if the battery
there's no
Not just anybody.
not just anyone, not random people on the street because they don't like it. That you can go to prison for that. But certainly with the people on floor, because sometimes you're having to run from one studio to the next, and you've got 3 minutes, and you've got to change mic pack in between. Somebody's got to get it out and get it changed. It's as simple as that, and yeah, it's not pretty, but it is part of the job.
But it's even just like when I was a producer at Create and Craft, I was doing 12-hour shifts. So I would say on an average, I'd probably work with, if you were paired for certain shows, 2, maybe 3 presenters a day.
Yeah.
So seeing those guys day in, day out, and over time, the amount of time you have with them, you begin to build that sort of rapport with them.
It's family, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
work family.
And then you start getting to know your guests, because you get the same sort of guests come in. For
all the guests have
shows.
got different ways of doing things.
Oh yeah.
Another thing to mention about the presenters, because I quite often see people complaining if a demo gets interrupted. Almost every time the presenter has to interrupt a demo, it could be because your mic's making a noise and they need to change it. So they need to get the camera off you to do that. Or you've forgotten something, or
Should usually tell them.
yeah. So there's quite often a reason for that,
Yeah.
and it's not just that they're interrupting.
That's the thing with the presenters. They're so smooth in what they do. They cover so much that's going potentially wrong at any one point, and you can't see it at home. And there's so many times when they're just like, Carla, your mic's gone. Or it's usually because I haven't clipped it on. So this has now happened about 18 times in the past 2 weeks, where they're like, Carla, we can't hear you. And I'm like, well, I don't know why. And then I look down and my microphone's hanging down here because I forgot to clip it. And it's always my fault. Hey, Rebecca, right? Are you okay? It's always my fault. But they have to then go to the presenter. The presenter has to interrupt, do what they're doing so that I can get clips and mic'd in.
But people also forget, or people don't see how much a presenter has to deal with. So they've got directors in their ear, they've got producers in their ear, they're having to listen to what the demonstrators are doing. They've got all these, and the floor managers, they've got all these people they need to constantly kind of keep in touch with and keep the show rolling. Because there could be an absolute meltdown in the gallery.
Yeah.
Cameras might not be working, software for the producer might not be working. So they've got people panicking in their ears constantly. And you've got to stand there and smile and listen to what the guests are saying whilst continuously understanding what's going on and where they need to kind of chime in, if they need to chime in. It's so much that they have to contend with, especially hearing my voice in their ear.
When you yell.
Oh, I never yell. I just was not the most professional.
She's very, very direct, let's put it that way. And now I'm stuck in a room with her. She says she's stuck in a room with me. It's both ways.
I think it's both ways. Yeah.
It's good fun. We have a lot of fun.
Oh, I wouldn't change my job for the world.
No, I wouldn't actually. And it's a funny thing, isn't it? Because I never knew what I wanted to do when I grew up. I never got to that stage. We were talking about that this morning, didn't we? And you find yourself doing something that you just have such a passion for, and that's it's a blessing, isn't it? Not many people get that. I don't think.
To do something you love so much as your job is
Do you
amazing.
have one favourite moment of CNC?
Oh, I don't know. I tell you, we did some shows, and it was going back a while when we launched a limited edition Big Shot, and it was blue. And I don't know why, it was just such a really fun event. We did a Facebook Live with Catherine in between the shows, and everyone was loving it, and it was just a really nice event. That was really good fun. It's also lovely when we do get out and about and get to craft shows to actually meet.
I've not done that yet. You'll all be pleased to know. I don't think they'll let me.
Is it like they're showing The Apprentice?
Yes.
Yeah.
So The Apprentice, funny enough, the stuff that they do on The Apprentice is actually done. One of them certainly was done on Ideal World, which is the same studios that the old Create and Craft was in. So it's the same building. So yes, exactly like
exactly
The
like
Apprentice.
that. Yeah.
And it's not as easy as it looks. I mean, I'm not saying it's the world's, most difficult job. I'm sure there's people with a billion times worse jobs than that, but it's just there's a lot to remember as a demonstrator, as well as a producer, as well as a presenter. Everybody's got their own little bubble that they kind of have to control, and so it's not always I mean, I'm probably the worst one for just saying what's going wrong at any given time. Taz nods.
In my current job, I think there hasn't been a show where it's just been me and Carla where she hasn't gone, what are you saying? What are you writing? Oh, I need to tell them this. It's like smooth just goes completely out the window.
Well, she's 27 and I'm 47 and I can't read the things that she's writing anymore. And she'll put things, and then she like whips it up, whips it away. A bit like I was saying about demos, where you should keep it held for longer. Just saying. And I'm just like, what? What did you say? What are you saying to me? She's like, oh, God's sake.
What was that, dear?
Dear. Miss Taz, what are we doing?
What are we doing next? I told you about 5 minutes ago, Carla.
Yeah.
I could not be a presenter because nearly every time I look at the monitor as they're reading out the order numbers, I'd have to go, which wouldn't look good.
Right
What
to the
you
camera.
don't see is often when they are doing, like you'll see all the products on air and you'll see the numbers and you'll hear the presenters reading it out. And if the camera's not on them and it's on the product or on the website, the presenter is standing this far in front of the monitor. They've walked round to the front. Yeah. They're looking this far at the monitor so they can see what they're doing. So it takes them some skill to stand behind the counter and still be able to do it from a distance. We're giving away all the trade secrets, aren't we?
Are.
I mean, that's not it. It's not that big and exciting, but that's kind of.
Do you guys remember your first show at Crancraft?
Yeah,
like very vividly, like what you did, who you were with.
Terrified. I can remember every detail of it.
And I think that burns into your memory. It burns.
I had weird dreams for weeks beforehand that I was on air and couldn't speak.
Did you?
Yeah, all those kind of anxiety type dreams. Yeah.
How long did you know before you did it?
Oh, good couple of months. So I had a horrible
That's
build up.
Awful.
Yep. And my first show was with Charlie. Charlie was the presenter.
Oh, really?
Was it?
Yeah. Back when it was her Chandler then. I was working for Craft Stash.
Well, he's only 12.
I know.
Well, how old does that make me?
I mean,
6.
This is why I make you sit with my children most of the time.
But I think everyone's the same.
Hey, Dad!
Because no one's done this before. So it's kind of the fear of the unknown, isn't it? And you build it in your head to be something far more terrifying than it really is.
I remember driving to my first show and I got maybe halfway there and I just thought, you don't actually have to do this. You don't have to. Just drive home. You don't have to. And I was so determined I was just going to turn around and drive. And then I was just like, you can't because they've got a show booked in and just go and do this one. And then just, if they ever contact you again, just ignore it. Just pretend it never happened.
If they're not there, then
it's fine. And then I did it and I had Andy Love. I was on for 2 hours doing quilling, and it was the hedgehog quilling kit that they had at the time.
I remember this.
And yeah, it was, God, that's going back a long time now. And funny enough, that's actually the show I probably remember the most. Well, I just had the lightning grid go down on the show.
Wow.
Yeah, so I guess that's the one. I think probably for every demonstrator, certainly it's the first one that they remember. I'm guessing it's the same for presenters as well, and probably for producers. Do you remember yours?
I don't remember my first show. Yes, Carla, how come you do get the fancy chair?
It's my house and it's my craft room. Yes. Just saying. It's my
I can't even see that I have a chair. I could be just sitting on the floor. I'm just that tall.
We're on, yeah.
So my first show, I don't actually remember my first show as a producer, but I was an assistant producer before becoming a producer. And I didn't even know I wanted to be a producer at this point. I thought I actually wanted to be a director, funnily enough.
Did you?
So yeah. I know I'm both. So
yeah.
But so when I was an assistant producer, I vividly remember there was another producer who I was shadowing because I was like, I may as well try. I'm going to try and see. This was before jobs had opened up. I just wanted to have a go, but you know what I mean. And funnily enough, I was outside letting the producer prep with Martin Parker. And
we love Parker.
Martin Parker.
We love Parker.
Parker. I know it feels weird saying Martin now. And he was just saying, oh, you know, if it's okay with you, can Tasmin have a go producing? Like, Parker's like ancient, he's part of the furniture. You could say anything in his ear and he could do whatever he wants, and I'd be like,
Yeah.
and so he turned around whilst I was standing there, bearing in mind, and he went, no. And I was like, oh, and he went, you're going to do the whole thing. And I was like, bearing in mind, I'd never produced before. I didn't really know what I was doing, because I can sit and watch Andrew till the cows come home, but I had no idea. Doing it is completely different.
Yeah.
And I sat there and I made a couple of mistakes, but that's kind of what built my rapport up with Martin. And it's always, I personally felt like it was always defined on the first couple of shows that you had it with the presenter.
Yeah.
But that was the first time. I don't remember a lot of shows unless people bring it up to me. Like we talk in...
The birthday show was probably my favourite show.
Birthday, I absolutely loved the birthday show with me, you, Ed, who was directing, Matt and Wheeler.
Matt McNamara. If you do ever watch this, Matt McNamara, we love you.
And Seamless Sunday.
Yeah, because Seamless Sunday, for those of you who know Create and Craft very, very well, was actually Taz's brainchild.
Mm-hmm.
It was Taz's baby. She was the one who kind of...
With Debbie Shaw and Ed, who was directing.
Do you want to know something? Actually, I probably shouldn't say that. I'll tell you after the show. Sorry. I was about to say something very inappropriate, but I won't tell you.
Oh.
So, my Ed is saying, Taz, who was your favourite director? And she's asked the same question to myself and to you, Sharon.
Favourite director? I mean, me. Because I'm the only director now, really.
Oh,
so
no, I
I'm
have
me.
to say her because she's mine. But no, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say, A, they're all lovely and they all bring something individual to it. But if I had to pick an absolute favourite, and he doesn't work there anymore, it would be Roger. Because
I was his carer before I was yours.
You were his carer.
Roger was lovely.
And I loved Roger to pieces. He was just an absolute golden egg, wasn't he? Yeah.
Because we work so closely with directors. Producers and directors are pretty much interlinked. I work with so many so often that I couldn't really, and this is going to be a cop-out answer, so sorry, but I couldn't really pick a favourite. The ones that I had the biggest shows with,
thinking Roger.
The ones that I had the biggest shows with were Ed. So he's been the most memorable
I tell you
for
what,
me.
Ed is one of the nicest human beings ever. Ed is...
I saw him today.
We did see Ed today. He's got a real habit of putting things through my earring. He likes to see how much he can balance through my hoops. But he's such a good guy. Like, Ed is just a good human. So it's always a pleasure working with them. They all are.
Yeah, they're all lovely. Really lovely. And they're all good fun to work with.
And it's hard to pick favourites, really, isn't it? Because, you know, they're just good.
Sorry, everyone just brings something very different.
Yeah.
Every time.
Yeah. And I think the same goes with producers.
Yeah.
You know, it's all it's like something that's woven, you know, everybody's got a role to play, and even if there's 5 people doing the same job, they're so different. And like the guys that we're just meeting, certainly, well, you've met them before.
I kind of know both sides.
Yeah, because you were at Chandler first, weren't you?
Yeah.
So for me to meet the guys from Chandler, who obviously now Create and Craft, I was really nervous when the merger happened, and if I'm totally hand on heart honest, at the time just didn't want to go. You're so enveloped in what you're used to, and I was terrified. And the guys at Hochanda original could not have been nicer. They have been such a pleasure to work with. And then obviously I did Hobby Maker as well the other day. I've done a couple there now, and they are the loveliest people too. So it turns out it's just the industry breeds really good humans.
Yes,
that's a really comforting thing to know. They work very hard for the money that they earn. And I think everybody within the industry does. I think that's really important as well. And it's knowing how many people are involved in just putting a show together.
Yeah.
It's a lot of people you don't see. Thing. Yeah. It's just, I can't believe you said Roger. I think it's just, you know, it is what it is. Are we saying this is a director, Maya? Do we think? Who is it?
Ed. I'm going to go out on a little.
Is it Ed?
Because it says Ed at the
end. Mr. Ed, is that you? Because we love you, Ed. Well, at least we said nice things about you. We could have just said we don't like working with Ed.
There's just one I don't like, and that's Ed Keeley.
There's Ed Keeley. He's just rough.
He's my date next week on Saturday.
Is Ed your date?
Well, that's what I've been told. It'd be nice to see him again.
Lovely.
Well,
There's a wedding that I'm going to, my best friend's wedding. I'm not just going on a date with Ed.
you going to the pictures? Are you going to a discotheque?
We'll be dancing.
Are you dancing together?
Well, he knows we are now.
I love Ed. Ed, I'm so pleased you're here because you are just an awesome human. He is the best. But Roger, come on, Ed. You know yourself that Roger was just gold, wasn't he? Right, so I am going to start rounding things up a little bit. I just want Sharon to talk through her class again, if that's okay. And I'm going to put some links in the comments as well. This is Miss Phyllis, if anybody would like to know.
She's been dying to join us the whole time.
She's very beautiful and very lovely little pussycat. I've got two, but I don't know where the other one is. Sharon, tell me about your class again. What does it involve?
So
what are we making?
This Saturday, if you pop to my Facebook page,
We will put a link in it in the comments.
you'll see a photo there of the project that we're going to be doing. It is something that you should be able to do with the supplies you've got. I've really tried to make it fairly generic, more about the techniques that you can apply and use with whatever you've got. I didn't want something where you had to go out and buy a whole list of supplies, and also I didn't want it to be specific to any brand. So it's got flowers on it, so it's whatever floral dyes you've got, sentiment stamp, and then some cardstock, and then basics like gesso, things like that. So you don't need anything, a huge list of things. But yeah, if you pop to my Facebook page, all the details are there, and we'll share a link afterwards.
So it's a custom Curtis class.
It is, and it's going to be this Saturday at 5. It will be in a private Facebook group.
How do they join the class?
You have to message me. It's £10 to join the class, and then once I've received that, I will add you to the private Facebook group. Yeah. I wanted to keep it. I wanted to have more people. Keep it affordable.
How long do you think the workshops are going
I think it'll probably be about an hour and a half, 2 hours.
So not bad. That's so cheap for 2 hours worth of tuition, Sharon.
And of course, it's up to you if you want to craft along as we go, or chat and do it afterwards in your own time, because it will be there available for you to view.
And you'll leave it on there.
I'm going to leave it on there. So if you can't make Saturday, you can watch it afterwards. Or if you do want to, because I quite often when I go to a workshop, I'm too busy chatting, and then I miss half of what's going on, and I always end up just doing it at home, taking it half done home. So if that's you, you're covered there as well.
Oh, I think that's a really nice way of looking at it as well. Because I think sometimes there's a pressure, isn't there, to feel like you've got to keep up with everybody else in the class, and some of us craft differently. And I think some of us feel better if we can just work at home. And Ed's still having a meltdown about the Roger situation. But if you can sit and craft at home, I think sometimes that feels more comfortable. So it's nice to watch the workshop and then become involved, at home. So I'm presuming these are techniques that we can use further down our crafting line.
Absolutely.
So it's not something that's just specific to that card. We can use it again and again.
Yeah, absolutely. And I am actually planning to make up another couple of cards using the same techniques, but just with maybe a different layout. So at the end of it, you've sort of got some homework to go off and do, because you've got some more ideas with the same things.
You should join. Oh, you want a wedding?
Oh, sorry, on my best friend's
Busy
wedding.
at a wedding.
Yeah.
Hashtag just saying, stays there. But yeah, so anyway, it's a massive thing that Sharon's doing. It's an amazing thing that Sharon's doing, because you're getting tuition from somebody who has been in the industry for years. So she's kind of one of the pillars of the crafting community. So it's a massive boon to get tuition from somebody like that. So I, myself, and Miss Phyllis will say good evening to you all. Sharon, a massive thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming. Thank you. Miss Tiztaz, thank you very much. And I will see you very soon.
I pretty much just live here now, so
She does.
I just crawl upstairs to go and work and then come back down again.
It's because I need looking after, and it's her job. That's all I'm saying. It's her responsibility. Right. Okay. And we will speak to you. I have got to go to Yorkshire next week and I'm away for a full week. So there won't be a chance to go next week, but let's get one on the week after. I've already got some guests lined up. So we're going to do that and go ahead. So I do apologise for the cat. So we will do that and we'll join you all then. I'll put plenty of posts on social media so we can get that out to you sooner. And we'll do some more stuff. Sharon will be with us again soon enough. Taz, you'll probably see a lot of because she lives here. And oh, high five, Miss Phyllis. That was very lovely.
Sweet.
And yeah, we will speak to you really, really soon. A massive thank you to all of you at home for joining us as well. I hope you have a really lovely evening. So massive, huge thank you.